It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy. Let's tune in for today's discussion with LaShasta Bell.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy, and I'm so glad that you have joined us for this edition. I tell you, the topic is super amazing. It's not something I've mastered, so I'm going to be the student today as well. But you know, if you follow Speaking of Joy, we talk about leaders, and we talk about the fact that leaders are more than just a position or a title. If you're a person with influence or responsibility, you're a leader. And if you're a leader at some point in your life, you need to do this, which is what we're going to talk about today, and that is rest. I am so excited to have LaShasta Bell with me. Thank you so much for joining as we talk about rest. Now, she's going to give you some real, great information about rest. But before we jump into that, LaShasta, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. You already gave my name. I am a woman just working to live my best life by choosing some key fundamental things of life to keep life going. I am a licensed professional counselor, supervisor, international speaker, author, mom, wife, sister, cousin, brother, all of them.
Exactly.
But all of those roles encompass who I am. I enjoy bringing this topic that we're talking about today because it's so vital. After years of working with individuals with anxiety and depression and heightened stress, there was just these resonating themes that kept coming up, almost across the board. And it was about sleep and exercise and being able to decrease those things or not having those things in our world. Thing was sleep. And I've always been amazed by sleep. I can remember and I don't have very many memories because I have ADHD in real life. I'm stamped and approved. So childhood memories are fleeing, but I can remember being about 8 or 9 and my dad dating this lady, and literally it seems like she would fall asleep in the air. Like she would be lying down and be asleep before her head hit the pillow.
Really?
I was just impressed. I was like, oh my gosh, of course I'm impressed. It's years later, and this is still vivid memory because even as a child, I struggled to fall asleep. I would be up upwards of an hour. So it was just a whole thing for years around sleep in my own life. And then I started working with these clients and it pops back up and I'm like, okay, Lord. What do you want me to do with this? And so that's really me. Like the things that I have learned and worked to cultivate in my life, I get so excited to share with others, especially when it works.
Okay. Well, listen, I have a question. Sleep. Because we think we know what sleep is, right? Sleep is I lay in the bed, I close my eyes, I wake up, it's a new day.
Right.
So what is sleep? I mean, what is sleep in the real form? Like when somebody has sleep and rest, what is it?
So if the word rest today is an acronym, because I'm a former educator, so I'm all about acronyms because we tend to remember them.
Yeah.
And so when we think about rest and sleep, there's 4 things that I want us to learn and understand that cultivates this sleep. Because at the end of the day, if I could talk about sleep all day, every day, and anxiety, that's probably what it would do. But it ain't making me the big bucks yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the first one with the R is to relax. Like most of us do not know how to relax.
No.
And if we do know how by chance, we don't exactly know how to identify what it is that allows us to relax. So when we talk about sleep, the first thing, and we talk about rest, is to know and understand how to relax. So I'm like, okay, let me get a people definition, not my own definition, because they may or may not believe me. They just met me today, right?
Okay.
But whenever we talk about relax and define it, it's a verb. It's an action. It's when I looked it up, it's like to make, to become, to reduce, to relieve, to take. It's a movement. We are doing something. So to make relax, to make less intense, to become lax. They even use the word rest in the definition of relax. Now, come on, people. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And so to take recreation, to take
Okay.
so rest could be watching a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
It could be going skating. Like I love to skate. I realized a couple weeks ago, sister don't skate like she used to.
Yeah, okay.
It took me about an hour to warm up. I had to remember how to cross them feet over when you hit that.
Listen, if you can cross the feet, you're doing better than half of us. Because
only going one way. When they reverse skate, I'd be like, "No, sister, I can't put that leg over."
No.
It's so going on. So the first thing will be to understand how you relax. Relaxing looks different for all of us.
That is so good. And that's good because my husband and I talk about this all the time. Now, this is probably not the best idea when we talk about sleep, but I relax by watching TV. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't understand that the only time I really can watch TV is when the house is still. So I'm usually up later than everybody else, and he'll go to sleep. The girls will be asleep, but that's the only time that I have to myself. And so that's the time that I can lie on the couch and watch TV. And he's always saying, well, you need to go to sleep. But that's how I decompress. That's how before I can get into the bed, that's what I do. And a lot of people don't realize that it's okay to have, those moments where you find peace in whatever it is for you that gives you the ability to say, this is how I prepare, because really relaxing is preparing you for something else. So as long as you can relax, then you have the energy and everything that you need to do what's next. So thank you, Stephen. I hope you heard that. I can watch TV and relax. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. It's right. As far as sleep, watching TV right before bed does not cultivate that sleep routine, but it is a way to relax. And I heard you say, and many people say, especially women, I don't have time to myself.
Yes.
And so when we get to that T stands for, I'm going to just jump ahead. So kind of like the preacher, I'm going to give you the closing.
That's all right. Give me the listen. I'm typing as we go. So everybody, don't worry. We're going to put them in order for you. I have them ready. Yes.
Exactly. With a handout, it's taking time. And part of relaxing is understanding that you can do it in pockets of time. So I hope by now when you go to the restroom, you go to the restroom by yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's time.
That's good.
That could be time to relax. Even if you are taking a moment to visualize yourself on the beach or taking a moment to take a few breaths, if that was relax you, that's peace and quiet. Or you can turn your phone on and play one of your favorite songs. And like I'm gonna be in this bathroom till the song go off. Like these are my 3 minutes.
That's good. Yeah.
And so that's understanding too that relaxing is not this whole vacation that we have to go on. It's not a 5-4 on the beach.
But isn't that what we've been? But isn't that it's funny how we've gone as women and as a culture now from self-care now being this grand thing. So if you take a trip, that's self-care. If you are on a beach, we don't realize that you have moments throughout your entire day, every day, that you have the time to recharge, rejuvenate, and to give self-care. We always make it about something doing or going or getting away from something in a grand gesture versus just today I choose to sit in the bathroom till the song comes out.
Is that part. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Self-care, the way I like to define it is that it's any thought or behavior that contributes positively to your mental health.
Hey,
so
I like that.
I decide, girl, you look good. That's
self-care. Yes.
And that way we are on a continuum of self-care.
Yes.
It's not a hit or miss. When I got up and worked out this morning when I didn't want to, that was self-care. But that also leads me into, one more thing about relax.
Yeah.
Is learning to do it singular. A lot of times we want to depend on others in our lives to help us relax. Oh, I want to go get a massage so I can relax. Yes. I'm going to go get a pedicure so I can relax. I'm going to go hoop with the boys so I can relax. Go play golf. But that means that we have to have someone else in our picture in order for us to relax. And if we're trying to lead us, because before we can lead anyone else, we need to be leaders in our own lives. Yeah. Then we need to learn how to relax singularly.
And if we don't, then there are going to be moments where we're not going to be able to relax because those devices or people that we've brought into our lives to help us relax won't always be present or available. So then we're anxious, depressed, frustrated because we're relying on something external to help us relax and not focusing on the internal. Oh, that's good. That's good. No. That was good. Okay.
So there will be a handout or a graphic that will be accessible through my link tree on my Instagram. And under relax, the blurb is about things you can do singularly. Because we can talk about all the other things, but taking calm moments to take some deep breaths, going for a walk. When I went skating, a sister went by herself.
Yeah.
Like I got a husband and a son and a few people that probably would go, but I ended up skating by myself for a good hour or so and enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
And so understanding that even if it's a quote unquote group activity, you can still do it singularly.
Absolutely.
When I vacation, sometimes I take she-cations to relax. I go by myself so that there is no one saying, what we doing? What we doing next? What we gonna eat? And then we gotta talk about it for 15 minutes and I'll already be halfway through a meal.
Yeah.
If I was by myself. So understanding to do it singularly. And when we go into like that next part of that E, it's exercise. Now I know for somebody I just cussed them out. And
it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
And it was just it's just 12:11. And they're like, man, I already got cussed out on a Thursday. She said exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise is anything that we decide to do to get moving.
Okay.
Getting moving is vital for our mental and our physical health. When we talk about sleep and resting, sleep is up to a $411 billion deficit in the U.S. Over 1.2 million work days are gone because of sleep.
Ooh.
When people don't sleep, let me tell you, when people like, it's grind all the time. I sleep 4 hours and I pop up. Well, let me tell you something. Your 4-hour people, y'all have a 13% higher mortality rate than us over here getting them 7 to 9.
Woo! Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, I didn't make this up. This is what the CDC is telling us about sleep. And one of the biggest disruptions that happens with sleep and what's tied to it, some of those things is psychosocial stressors, your mental health.
Yeah.
Not getting moving.
Okay.
Not what's the other one? Unhealthy diet, so an unbalanced diet. So all of these things are predicated around us just going to bed. Like just going to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, exercise could be skating. It could be a walk in the park.
Beverly said I take adult naps every day.
I see her. Good job, Beverly. Yeah. Take those naps, especially right now during COVID with the pandemic and the heightened social injustices. We need that time to recruit. Part of what happens when we sleep is our brain processes the memories and the learning of the day. So those people who don't sleep that 7 to 9 hours, when they wake up feeling like they still wearing yesterday, it's because their brain is still wearing yesterday.
Wow. Okay. That's good. So we got to go to sleep.
Yeah, I woke up feeling overwhelmed. You woke up feeling overwhelmed because you only slept for 4 or 5 hours. You didn't give your brain time to do what it needed to do to recover the memories, to process whatever was learned. I'm literally in this year-long training around interpersonal neurobiology. And when we do a day-long, part of the training is to take a break, to take a nap. Yeah. Like we have lunch and then we take a nap so that we can process the information that we learn because it's so much. So exercise is just getting moving, getting outside, going skating, playing golf, going for a run, going for a walk, having a dance party with your kids. It's whatever you decide, but we have to stay physical and stay moving. So exercise is that E. Okay. Now the S is sleep. And I already been all on that boulevard because that's just what I do. I don't know any way not to do it because that's the boulevard that's most important. For those of us who experience anxieties, which is all of us. I'm going to tell
Yeah,
you this now.
absolutely.
Every single one of us experience some type of anxieties, not anxiety disorder, but anxiety, because anxiety is an overwhelming fear of the unknown. So if you say, I ain't never had no anxiety, I'm gonna call BS, because last year we had a whole pandemic and we didn't.
Absolutely. And this year we hadn't gotten very far. And if your child is going to school or has gone to school already with this whole mask mandate, you should have some anxieties about what that. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So anytime that comes up, research is telling us that sleep and exercise consistently will lower our anxiety activation level. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the brain because I love it too. Our amygdalas are activated when there is anxiety. So the amygdalas is that, we talk about that fight, flight, or freeze, and then the other one is fun. A lot of people don't know about fun, but that's when we like, oh, Mister, you're so funny, because he seemed a little aggressive in the spot because you don't want his number. Then you find him a little bit. So that's a defense mechanism. And when we experience a threat, our amygdalas go online. Well, with sleep and exercise, it lowers the level at which we're activated. So it's kind of like if I'm sitting here and something goes in my periphery and I'm like, oh my God, what's that? My activation level.
Yeah, it goes up.
But if I'm like, oh, that's just a fly, it's lower.
Yeah.
And so understanding that, because that's one of our telltale signs of we need to sleep more or we need to move more when we're jumpy, as the old folks say, playing with the devil.
Yeah.
How you so jumpy? You're playing with the devil.
Yeah. My folks used to say, you got to live right. You're not living right. Yeah, if you jumping all the time, you ain't living right. Get your life right.
Which they did have. They were onto something, because we're not living right with our exercise and our sleep. So the idea is that the moment we wake up, we are cultivating our sleep. Like our whole day should rest around sleep and resting.
Okay.
So every single thing we do throughout the day should build up to sleep. So if I were to give you my day so far, I woke up about 6:50. Got dressed, took my son, had my vitamins, took my son, dropped him off, went to work out, came back, had my protein shake, took my time, had some motivational speaking to listen to and to remind me of my purpose. I am cultivating my sleep. Like, my sleep is the most important part of my day. So
not breakfast?
No.
That's what we've been taught. We've been taught
that the most important meal. Absolutely. I had it, but the most important thing for me to be able to show up as others' mental health professional is my sleep.
That's good.
Period. There are apps that will monitor your sleep to let you know your sleep quality. There are apps that will allow you to have sleep stories to help you fall asleep. The hot teas, essential oils, the exercising you do during the day helps you to go to sleep.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah, that's good.
The exercise also releases 3 happy chemicals. It releases the endorphins, it releases oxytocin, and it releases serotonin. Serotonin stabilizes our mood. The oxytocin helps it's like a reward. Like, I'm excited. Like, I finished the workout and I didn't die.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the endorphin is for pain. So when we are sad and we are troubled and we allow our exercise to come into play, it releases those endorphins to help stabilize. The other piece of it, exercise, right now, it's ranked among the highest in helping decrease and relieve depression. And we're ranking this with medication too.
No, that's good. That's because for many of us, especially in this season of our lives, we are very stationary and we're consuming so many things, and not just food, but just so many. With social media, with television, with all of the news and everything, we're consuming so much of that, but we're not releasing as much as we're consuming. And so we wonder why we are, for some of us, it's eating more, or drinking more. So we're consuming all of these negative behaviors, negative things in our bodies, and we're wondering why we are depressed or why we have sleep issues. It's because we don't have any way to release it. And so for most of us, I'm not a fan of working out. Now I'll do it and I do it. But I've also had to realize that I've got to find something I enjoy doing so that it's not a task, because if it's a task, then most of us are going to run from it.
That is true. And if it's a task, then that dopamine is not going to release because there's like no reward.
There you go.
So finding the things. And last year when the pandemic first started, some of the things that I would do is like on YouTube, it's free. I would go to YouTube, I would type in a workout that maybe I want to do, like kickboxing or something like that. And then I would do that. And then on the next day, whatever recommended workout came up, that's what I would do.
That's good.
So sometimes I'm in there like, dropping it like it high while I'm punching. I'm like, what is this? Okay, I'm gonna go with it.
Absolutely.
I don't have knees like Megan, but I still got them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just me in there anyway, so I'm Meg the Stallion every time I step up, baby.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't even matter. Yes. No, I found so we joined a gym, and I used to run prior to the girls. That was what I loved doing. And of course, I'm like, your knees changed a little bit, so that running is a little, but I went to a class, and it was a bar class, but it was a bar class with ballet. And so many moons, many pounds ago, I used to be a dancer. And so I look forward to that class on Fridays. And so the instructor was like, well, did you ever dance? Because your lines are so long. And I was just in there for myself. But then I was like, maybe I do still have it. So I got excited because it brought me back to some times when I was younger with less stress, less issue. So I was able to recall some memories of things that were pleasant. So now working out and going to that class is not as dreaded, because I'm able to say, oh, I remember when I was able to do a grand jeté. Now I'm not as grand as I used to be.
Okay,
but that's it. And I came home and told Steve, and I was like, oh my God, I found a class I love. And he was like, well, is it working out? I'm like, listen, if I'm moving and got one little bead of sweat, I've worked out. But I was proud for being able to actually accomplish it and still do. And we don't think about working out like that. A lot of times we think about it as the result has to be losing weight. Or, that it's never the result of completion or activity or even camaraderie, because you'll meet people who do the things that you enjoy. We don't think about it like that. So I think it's important to remember that exercise is something that has a bigger reward than the inches or the pounds.
Absolutely. Yeah. You right on it. And then that compassion, being compassionate with yourself and understanding that we're not going to move like we used to move. Like,
no.
It's going to happen. Right now I've been doing Camp Gladiator for a few months and enjoyed the outdoor workout. But now years ago, you couldn't get me to work out outside. I'm like, oh, my allergies bad. It's hot. I just want to work out myself. I talk to people all day. I don't want to be in a group. Now I'm running to the workout. Like, hey,
absolutely. Hey, good to see you. Exactly.
So, giving yourself the grace and the compassion to do something different from what you've done before, or going back to something you used to do and knowing that it may benefit you differently and it may look differently doing it, but it's about it's what it feels like, what's happening for your brain and happening for your body. That's where the value is.
Absolutely. Oh, and listen, and Janelle Matthews said, grace, that's not something I think we give ourselves a lot of. So even with me, with running, I like I said, I love running. And the reason I stopped running is not because I can't run. It's because I'm frustrated because I can't run like I used to, or I had to start over. So I abandoned it, which is not I found some other things, but it's not the healthiest way to do it. I abandoned it because I was frustrated with myself, saying, now, Joy, you should have been able to do, you used to be, and so a lot of times we don't give ourselves that grace to say, hey, Joy, listen, you may not be able to run a half marathon, but if you can walk from here to the light pole, and you do that consistently, you build up the ability to do it. And hey, you may never run a half marathon, may never do it again, but you're active, you're moving. So I think grace is super important in all of this we're talking about. I think it's absolutely important.
It's vital in all that we do, that self-compassion. And what I like to tell my clients is, think about if you had a friend going through what you're going through and what you would say to them. Be your own friend. When you feel like you've messed up Are you up as a leader? Like, what would you tell a friend that did that as a leader? What would you tell someone? What would you say? How would you treat them? And do that for yourselves, because we quick to do it for others.
Oh yeah,
Girl,
we're everybody's cheerleader.
At least you walk. At least you got your legs and your right mind. Like, we'll go all the way down the Taylor
to get them. Yeah.
But for ourselves, it's like, that's all you got. Because I used to say, I'm not going to run unless the police after me. And the way my life set up, I like my freedom, so the police not going to be after me. But since I've been in the Camp Gladiator, part of it is a little run here and there, and I've been able to congratulate myself and be proud of being able to pace and run and open up my stride. Because people are like, you got them long legs, you can't run. Sis don't like to run. These legs is just for, I guess, for looking at. I don't know. I don't like to run. And so that being able to see that and championing yourself on in that space, and this whole process of learning to rest and sleep. And even when we start like cultivating our sleep routine. And so we talk about hygiene, like personal hygiene. We tell our kids, ooh, you need to do something about that, shower today. Did you brush your teeth and your tongue? Like, we'll talk to them like that. But I want us to start doing some of that for ourselves with our sleep. Like, were you intentional about what time you went to bed? Were you intentional about turning the TV off and getting the screen out of your face at least 30 minutes or an hour before? Were you intentional about cultivating this? So like I said, my whole day is about my sleep. And that's just me. But for others who are starting, I want to challenge them to just look at their sleep routine. Don't do anything with it. Just look at it for a little bit. And this is that part of that T, taking your time back, because it's our time. It's ours. We've given it to other things, to other people, and we have to be intentional about taking it back and starting with sleep. Because here's the thing. If you brush your teeth around 9 o'clock every night, that's part of your sleep routine. You're sending a signal to your brain that it's time to go to bed. If you decide to brush your teeth at 5, watch how you start to like feel relaxed and yawning. Like the viewer said earlier, taking an adult nap because you brushed your teeth earlier. So our brain is very much trainable in waiting for us to take control of it, to take that time to be intentional. So if you brush your hair before bed, if you do 20 push-ups before bed, whatever it is, do it the same way consistently, because most of us, according to research, a third of adults are not getting adequate sleep.
I can raise my hand on that. I can raise my hand on that. And I think what we've done is we've convinced ourselves that it's okay. We've convinced ourselves that although I'm not getting enough rest, it's okay because I wake up tomorrow and I'm not as tired. So I'll say, you know what? I'm not as tired. So because I'm not as tired, that means I got enough sleep or enough rest. And so we don't realize that I've noticed for myself, as I do that more and more, then I have that moment where I crash. Or that, because my body, or we have allowed our body to be more susceptible to disease and ailments and illness because our immune system is down, because we have not taken the time to rest and restore our bodies in the way that we should. And so we wonder why there are days we can't get out of bed. It may not necessarily be depression. It may truly be fatigue. It may truly be your mind and your body are at a point where it's going to force you to stop. And for many of us, I think that's how we operate. Not healthy, but we operate until I fall out.
That's it.
Until I fall out, I'm going to keep going.
Grind now, sleep later. I
don't agree with that.
And I'm going to just say it's garbage.
Yeah, I don't agree with that one.
I'm trying to use my good words today. If I was using my other words, I would call BS.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we get to a point until we crash. But understand, the crashing takes place before you feel it. The crashing look like having these brain fog.
Absolutely.
Having these moments of, I can't remember.
Absolutely.
And stagnant in projects. All of those things come before, those are warning before destruction.
Yeah. No, that's true. Gosh, yeah.
And then we start to say, okay, well, why can't I do this? And I should be able to do this. because you're not resting. Like you're not sleeping, you're not resting. So you cannot expect the brain to keep producing and the body to keep showing up when you're not giving it an opportunity to sleep.
Yeah.
Period. So
Yeah.
it does hit a wall. And research says that of the 15 leading causes of death, 7 of them are connected to sleep deficits. 7. Understand that. Like, I like sleep. Like,
Yeah.
sleep is a bad mamma jamma.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's coming through with the 1-2. Like,
Yeah.
you either gonna be team sleep or team die early or team let's suffer with these mental and physical health deficiencies.
Absolutely.
It's like you have to choose a side.
Yeah. And that's the first thing when you go to the doctor. That's one of the first things they ask you. When you go with ailments and issues, they ask you, have you been getting enough rest? And for most of us, we say yes, because we've not connected it in the way that you're connecting it. So we're like, yeah. And they'll ask you how many hours of sleep, and you'll say 4 or 5, and you're proud of yourself for that. And the first thing they'll say is you need to rest. And even if any illness, any sickness, if you break a bone or a limb or you injure yourself, it's rest that is necessary for the body to recover. So it's amazing that in injury, we recognize that and we'll rest. But in every day, as long as things look like they're good, we keep going. We don't recognize the importance of rest. We shouldn't only rest when things are bad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We cry in the shower. That's what
I like that.
We cry in the shower. Like literally things seem good. And
yes,
physically we can see it. And physically there's a barrier, but with mentally and mental health, we want to keep pushing, because for some of us, it's a cultural thing.
Absolutely.
A cultural thing has told us that we have to earn rest. Look, people, we don't have to earn rest. It's ours. Like, we need to take it.
Yeah.
Like, don't be around here like, oh, when I do this and this, then I'll rest.
Then I'll take a break.
I'm going to do this and I'm going to rest. And I'm going to do this and then I'm going to rest again. Like, I'm going to get my breaks. It's so much research around how when we rest and we sleep, it improves all the things that we want to do when we are awake. Understand that. I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back.
In the back. Hey, yeah.
All of the things that you want to accomplish are improved when you rest and sleep. It's instantaneously. Like, we are more productive. Our body is stronger. Our mind is stronger. We are more creative. We are more patient. We are more kind. We are less anxious. Yeah. So the thing that we vacate first, the thing that will go first when we stress,
is what we need the most.
Is what we need the most. So if we could hold on tight to it, like some of us hold on to ice cream, and I'm saying some of us because I'm in that circle. I know Janelle, you watch it. I have not had ice cream in 20 days. I promise.
Good for you. Good for you.
I'm working on it. You know, but some of us hold tight those favorite snacks, those foods of comfort, those maladaptive behaviors that are comforting in the moment. We hold tight to them. And if we would just choose to release our grip on that and hold on to sleep, life would be so much better.
Janelle says she's proud of you too for giving up your ice cream for 20 days. For 20 days, yes. No, that is awesome. 22, that's all. But that is
on day 22. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's for 21
days. That's okay. 21 days. Oh, well, you listen. Here's the thing: you made it to the goal, so we're gonna applaud you for today, believing that you got it tomorrow. Absolutely. And on day 22, if you want ice cream, it's gonna be different though, because now you don't need it. Now it's a choice to have it. And now you're going to have it in a way that doesn't take you back to day one. Exactly. And that's powerful when you can grab a hold of anything and change your behavior in such a way that it is no longer what you need, but it is something that you choose to have versus anything. We don't look at, sleep, life, relationships, French, anything like that. But that's the blessing is tomorrow you won't have it. You'll have it on whatever day after tomorrow is, because all the days run together. You're gonna eat one little spoonful and be like, oh, that was good. I'm glad I did that, and move on with your life.
That's it. And the other part to all of this is asking for help. Too many times we do not ask for help.
Absolutely.
With Janelle, I watched her journey and her to transfer her mind and her body in the last year. Like I watched, I checked in, like, oh, you doing good, da, da, da. And finally, I'm like, you know what? Let me get some help. Let me get more accountable because I like to work out. I enjoy working out. I can do that 4 or 5 days a week, easy. Now that food, that unbalanced diet that contributes to why we're not sleeping enough. That's my vice, and it's most of ours. And I said, you know what? I'm ready to do something different that can be consistent.
Yeah.
And so asking for help, there's no shame in it.
Yeah.
It's what we need. A lot of us have to break cultural bounds to ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us have to get uncomfortable, and that can be help from the community. That can be help from a therapist. That can be a mentor. It can be help from a coach. It just depends on what you need.
And it's amazing because most of us, before we don't realize that the help that we need is at our fingertips. We make the idea of needing help such a far reach instead of recognizing that if you just share what your journey is, I believe, number one, God's going to send people to you who can help you. And if you don't have the people in your immediate circle, he's going to make a path for you, and somebody will know somebody, or somebody will know of an event or an activity that you can participate in. But because we never open our mouths to say it for fear of shame, of guilt, of rejection, of exposure, all of those things that we've told ourselves we have to have in order to be the people that we think we're showing up as, we miss the opportunity to get the help. And then if we just, and we don't even have to go out and say, Lord, I need help, I'm seeking help. It could just be, hey, you know what, LaShasta, I need to do better with sleep. We're having a conversation. Well, how did you sleep, Joy? Well, I didn't sleep too well. Well, why not? And we just start talking, and you pour ideas into me. It's like, oh, well, that's exactly what I needed. So I think sometimes we have to change the stigma of asking for help to not be that you've got to walk into a place or to a person and say, I need help. It's really just being vulnerable so that you'll have a conversation with a person about what you're struggling with, or even just what you're experiencing. And then they will be inclined to provide the assistance that you need. And I think that's something for me that I've been working with, is I don't have to say I need help as much as I say, here's what I'm going through. The word help for some people is a turnoff. Yeah. So, hey, you don't have to say help. You can just say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And or hey, here's what my day was like. And in that, a person who's inclined to hear and who's invested in me will hear that cry for help, even if I never say the word help.
You're right, 110%. And the other part to that is for those of us who are experts on something, and I say expert meaning you've mastered it, maybe at one point in time, even if you're not consistent with it, but you've mastered it. If we will remove the imposter syndrome and speak up. I can't tell you how many times I was going to look for a car last year, and some kind of way got on the topic of sleep. Imagine that. The car salesman, right? Because I was like, well, how are you doing? And he was honest. I think he said, I'm okay. I just didn't sleep well last night. I'm like, interesting. Tell me about how you sleep. So while I'm test driving this car, I pour into this man ways to instantly improve his sleep that night. And I think he found me on social media. They'll be like, wow, my hairstylist that braids my hair, she was talking about her sleep. And I'm like, come on, sis, you do amazing work. But imagine what you could do if you were well. Yeah. And so the next time I saw her a couple of months later to get my hair braided, she was like, that was a game changer. And so it's like being willing to speak up on what you know when you do enter a conversation.
Absolutely.
Like, period. Because I remember I used to tell my husband when we go somewhere, I'm like, don't tell nobody I'm a therapist. I'm not, don't tell him. Don't shift the energy. And now I'm going to have to be out at the lounge hearing about, who did what.
Yeah. The couch that we're sitting on becomes the couch that they want to lay on.
Right. Exactly. But what I had to learn, and this is part of that T of taking our time back, is how to set healthy boundaries, how I can introduce myself into a conversation and the work that I do without taking on the responsibility of hearing the person's problems.
Absolutely.
So when I meet new people and have that conversation, the lady that does my son's hair, because he's dreaded, she was like, oh, you just what I need. I said, no, sis, it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know somebody that can be
Yeah.
this for me. But
Yeah.
since you do my son's hair, there's no way for us to enter a relationship, and my schedule is technically closed. So I
Yeah.
can set those boundaries and still be of help. But it was
Yeah.
hard to do that initially because I felt like, well, if we just don't talk about it, then I don't have to be mean. Because
Yeah.
that's what it sometimes feels like for others when we're setting boundaries. But in order to take the time back to cultivate your sleep, you're going to have to set some boundaries. So that late night that you're up, Miss Joy, because you're waiting for everybody to leave you alone, you might have to say, like, okay, at this time, mommy and wife needs her joy
Oh,
time.
listen,
You know?
don't you worry. Don't you worry. Tonight, I'm turning off all lights. Everybody get to bed at 8. No, but everybody get to bed. But that's not, and that's, I mean, that takes into an entirely different conversation. But that's another thing. I don't think we do know how to set boundaries. So most of us are not taught to say, hey, mommy is unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
Wife is unavailable, friend is unavailable, daughter is unavailable, boss, manager is unavailable, because we've been taught that we have to show up for everything and everybody.
That's it.
And we're pouring out, and nothing's coming back. And a lot of times, I believe, for me, I'll say, I've always been waiting for somebody to pour back into me instead of recognizing that the pouring is me. Yes, God will send people who will refresh me, but if I'm pouring out, I'm always like, well, somebody should be pouring back into me. No, Joy, you should be pouring back into yourself. You should be finding ways to take time for yourself so that you can recharge your own battery versus waiting to be plugged into the wall to actually have that charge. But it's taken me months to really have that aha moment. Like, no, you set the boundary. You allow people in your space as you choose, so that you have the healthy joy that you want to have in front of yourself, your kids, your husband, and we're not taught that that's okay. We're not given permission to set those boundaries.
Exactly. Yeah. What you should give people should be your overflow.
Yes.
Yes. Your overflow. And yes, boundaries is a whole nother talk, but I'm gonna just drop a couple gems.
Come on.
No is a complete sentence.
Yes.
It does not need an explanation.
Yes.
You can just say no, because when you say yes, you don't explain your yes.
Because people, that's what they want to hear. So they're going to take that. Yes.
That part. Exactly. And then another thing is being able to say, I'm at capacity. People understand I'm at capacity. You don't have to explain why you at capacity or when you will no longer be at capacity. You can just say, I'm at capacity. I need a moment. I need 5 minutes. I need 5 days. I need 5 years. I'm at capacity.
That's
Whatever
good.
it is, we have to be willing to make the request. And in order to cultivate your sleep hygiene and in order to rest, you will have to know how to set boundaries. Because right now, most of us will say our days are full, that we do not have any change available, any space to change.
Yeah.
So in order to take back our time, we're going to have to set boundaries. It's going to have to be, okay, when I go in the bathroom and the door is closed, if I'm in there 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I just need you to let me be. Because I might be listening to Mary J. Blige and her song is 2 minutes, but then I might be listening to Mike and his songs are 5 minutes. So whichever one it is.
Whichever one, that's good. Yeah.
Just let me be. And so when we communicate that to our family, to our friends, to our employees, they understand that. Like, I run a company. I run 2 companies. And when my client care coordinator needs me, if I'm working out, I'm like, I'm working out. I'm going to call you when I'm done, unless it cannot wait. And she knows that most things can wait.
Yeah.
So that I'm not walking off in the middle of my workout to handle something that could be handled in an hour. Yeah. When I am meditating, I'm meditating. And the people in my house know, okay, she's meditating. We want her to meditate, because if she's not, she's going to come out here telling us, well, why this on the floor? I just saw a talk the other day when they talk about, you're getting old when you complain about everything. When you're complaining about everything, it doesn't have to do with age. It has to do with rest. It has to do with sleep, because you are irritable. Yes. Mind and body has not rested.
Woo! That is awesome, because we don't think about, I don't think any of us think about rest in that manner. You know, because we think as long as I go to sleep and I get up tomorrow, everything is going okay. We don't tie irritability, anxiety, frustration, weight gain, all of that, relationships that aren't working. We don't tie any of that stuff to sleep. Listen, Yvonne Towns say, yes, we don't. That was for me the biggest aha, because we don't do that. We don't tie it to that. We just keep going.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we are all one body. We are all one being. Mm-hmm. Every one little thing is connected to another. And we talk about the nervous system and the dorsal vagal vein that runs from our face to our back, encompass our organs. It regulates everything. Like, I think it's like 90% of our body is wired to our nervous system. Mm-hmm. So when we are irritated, agitated, it messes with our stomach. It messes with our thoughts.
Sure does. Absolutely.
It messes with everything. And I couldn't fit the W in here, but I'm going to give the bonus of water.
Yeah.
Because water didn't fit in REST acronym. It just didn't work. I tried, and I'm like, nah, sis, that ain't it. REST was. Nah,
yeah. A WREST. Rest.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like, we're not going to do it. But water is fundamental. Mm-hmm. It helps to decrease our brain fog. It helps to decrease our irritability just by drinking water. And if you've been in any part of this talk, I have not talked about a vitamin, a supplement, a pill, a medication. These are all things that we are very much in control of, and they are all things that God has already rendered to us. Absolutely. He's already given it to us. It's just for us to take it and use it the best we can. The essential oils. I love a good essential oil. Mm-hmm. Like, my mom bought me this case that holds like 75 oils for my birthday. And I'm like,
yeah.
All my oils in one place, My son be like, can you mix me up something? I done made everybody in the house a believer around essential oils because it's what's already been given. So taking some time, like just a little bit of time. It's so much information on the web and across every app that it's not like you have to go and read books to know the next best thing. If I were to poll people, most of us already know our biggest problem. Yeah. You ain't got to go look for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know how to fix it. In real life, for many of us, we know how to fix it because it's not necessarily a medical thing. It's turned into a medical thing.
Oh, yes.
So, but me losing weight, I didn't need to be on blood pressure medicine. If that was my situation, I just need to eat better. I need to watch what I eat, to drink more water, and to exercise. But we've made them medical issues. But for most of us, we know the issue and not only how to fix it, but how we got there. For most of us, we know how we got there. And it's a matter of wanting to change your behavior. Mm-hmm. And for many of us, we are content until we're not. And usually that's too late. Mm-hmm, that's what I said. Yeah.
Until we're on our face,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, let's not wait till we get on our face.
Absolutely.
Because yes, can we get up? Absolutely. But is it harder? Yes. So when we interact with ourselves, the moment we realize something is not quite right, like going back to that anxiety activation level, that's key for me. The moment I feel a little jumpy, I'm like, okay, sis, what's going on? What you putting in your body? What you're not putting in your body? Have you been sleeping well? Like, I go through and question myself because I know that that's just the first step of many that will create heightened anxiety. And when I'm anxious, I forget stuff. My ADHD goes out of control. And I just have to, you have to wheel it back in. Absolutely. But we get to decide how far we throw our line.
Yeah. Okay, so give us REST again. Give us the acronym again.
All right, REST. R is for relax. Do you know how to relax? Mm-hmm. Do you know what relaxes you? E is exercise. Let's get moving, people. Anything you do to move is exercise. Exercise releases at least 3 happiness chemicals in our brain that helps our mood, that helps our reward, that helps our pain. Sleep. Go to bed. Period.
Yeah.
Go to bed.
Yeah.
Keep everything out your bed besides 2 things. Sleep and sex. And if you underage, then keep sex out of there too. But the only thing should be in your bed. Not snacks, not TV, not phone. Keep it out. Yeah. And then taking your time back. We have all the time that we need. I guarantee you, I've talked to so many leaders and women, and they like, I don't have time, and I don't have time. And from the stage, I found them 15 minutes in their day. So we have the time. We just have to take it back or reassign it where we are putting ourselves on our calendars first, where we are filling ourselves up first, where we are setting boundaries. Whatever we give to people should truly be from the overflow and not from the cup.
Yes. Oh, all right, Miss LaShasta Bell. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I am everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. So at LB Speaks _ on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, on Twitter. LaShastaBell.com is my website. I'm available for virtual speaking, face-to-face, training, lunch and learns, keynotes. You can also go to my YouTube channel, LaShasta Bell LPCS, and find the season 1 of Am I Crazy, the mental health talk show, where we have plenty of guests that comes in and tell their stories. And there's always something that you can leave with and implement right now today. You don't have to wait. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you so much, LaShasta. You found out how to get with her. We're going to put some more stuff out. She's going to post this on her page. You know that the Leadership Lunch Break podcast is available. So if you didn't get it today, or you want to share it, or you want to listen to it again, this will be available for you in 2 weeks so that you can have this as a part of your routine so that you know exactly what to do. You always can check in with yourself, get you some accountability partners as you walk through this process. You know how to rest now. So let's put it together. LaShasta, thank you so much for coming to the Leadership Lunch Break. You will find this on all social media platforms. Like it, share it, comment it, and give it to someone who you know needs rest. So we will see you again next week. And tonight, go to sleep.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoy.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.